champion, and he also had, like, Clash of Steel and stuff. You can see the battle board is different, so there's a lot of different cosmetics in Hex. You can get customizable animated sleeves that you can earn for rewards and buy in the store. There's different battle boards that you can pick up that are animated backgrounds. This is my buddy Andrew, who's on my Hex testing team. He just wanted to let me know that he was going to ghost us. I'm uncertain if this card is good or not in this deck. So Frost Form 1, it comes out here, and when it comes into play, it generates a random action with cost equal to its cost, and actually generated a Runebind there, which is a constructed playable card, so that's not the worst. These troops allow us to play cards like these Cosmic Callings. This is a 3-cost quick action that says I get to look at the top 3 cards of my deck and put one of them into my hand, and it gets mobilized, and what mobilized does is I can exhaust a troop to make this trooper, so cheaper. So basically, if I have a troop, I can make this Cosmic Calling cost 1. Peace, Immortals. Yep, I will be off tomorrow on Monday, and then be back on Wednesday or Tuesday with my normal morning stream. Go ahead and do this. And again, I'm playing a control deck, so generally I want to try and hit all of my resource drops. So I'm going to go ahead and Fate Weave a 4th resource to the top of my deck guaranteed here. He might be playing a Reanimator strategy. He playing a Berry deck? It ditched a Drop of Chaos. Oh, I think he's playing a Berry deck. He's playing a Berry deck. This is not going to be pretty for my control deck. I don't remember if I have Robogoyles in my board or not. It could be a Fate Weave deck, too. So my opponent's champion started with 21 health, and for 3 charges it draws a card and discards a card. Quite sure what he has going on over there. I could Hearts Whisper to draw 2 cards, but, like, my hand is 7 cards in it, so that means I'll have to discard one of them. So I'm going to go ahead and Cosmic Calling and see what we find. I think Unhenge is actually probably pretty good here. Unhenge says it interrupts target troop, and if I control an elemental, which I do, it costs 1 instead of 3, and also I can mobilize this card now. That means I can basically make it free as long as I can exhaust a troop. A charge is kind of an extra alternative resource that particular card generate and a lot of resources generate. So you can see this ball of purpose here, in addition to making a resource for me and a threshold or a color, it gives me a charge towards my champion power. I wonder if he's playing Spellstorm Titan. It feels like he could be playing a Spellstorm Titan deck based on what he's done so far. Klutz likes to build some more out there things. He posted it in team chat? Okay. Hearts Whisper. Fate Weave and then draw a card. I'm going to attack with both of these. I'm just going to attack with one. Hold up Runebind plus the Unhenge, because remember this oh, I could have hit my champion power to make a thing here. Yeah, I'm hoping this Unhenge is about to be very good. Yeah, I think he's playing the Nameless Draughts just to enable Spellstorm Titans. Yep, this Unhenge here says interrupts target troops, so you can see every time Klutz plays a card out here, it goes onto the chain in the middle, and I have to tell it, yes, let this resolve, I don't want to respond to this. Not only is this 2 cheaper, but it has mobilize as well, so as long as I have a troop that's not exhausted, I can actually play this for free. Yep. Yeah, deck seems sweet. So Klutz is playing a Storm-esque combo deck where the Storm creature at the end is a 3/3 flyer, and when it comes into play, it makes copies of itself. So that means this Interrupt here is going to be very, very powerful at stopping his Spellstorm Titan. Correct. Yeah, it's going to be sweet and immortal. Be a lot of silly things to do in Immortal. Yep. Well. Hey, man, he might not even have Spellstorm turns, just like going off with these. Yep. This Light Devotives card, it makes a candle for him, and then every time he plays another Light Devotives, it makes another candle. Alright, and this card got bigger every time he played an action, so we're going to have to chump block that 9/9 there. And you can see I runebound his card over here, so it kind of puts us in the stasis state, and then I can actually Into the Unknown this, so I never have to deal with it. Yep. To build our own answer to the Ascension. That being said, like, we're not out of the woodwork, right? Like, he's got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 troops in play here, so I'm under the gun just from these. Yep, first gonna die to his backup plan. I do not have Clash of Steels in my deck currently. No, there are not any sweepers in the deck that I'm playing here, which is bad against what Klutz has going on for sure. He pretty dead. So many candles. More candles. So, unlike a lot of digital card games, as you can see here, Hex does not have a limit on the number of units that you can have on the board. So you can, if you like big board games, you can just go as big and wide as you want. I think I'm pretty dead here. Alright, I'm dead. I get it. You actually don't have any sweepers in my board? Maybe we should play Allie's build that has... Allie's build has a bunch of counter spells in the 75. I mostly just have Unhenges. These 4 verdicts interrupt non-troop cards, but I really don't have a lot else other than that going on for this matchup. Huntmaster's good. Into the Unknown's kind of medium. First, even though this is a Fate Weave that's only guaranteed 2 resources, so I should probably mulligan this. Got 2 resources in it, so I guess this isn't that much better. Well, the Heart's Whisper gets to Fate Weave before it draws 2, so that means if I hit my 3rd resource, I'm guaranteed my 4th with this hand. Alright, well, Verdict gives us something to do, even if I miss on my third resource drop for a turn or two at least. Can interrupt one of his cards. Alright, well, he milled me a non-resource, so resource, please? Klutz is so good to me. Should let him know what a pal he is later. It's buried a non-resource, so I could hit my third on time there, which hits my fourth on time with this Heart's Whisper. So the problem with Sunlit Sentence in a Drago style deck is that your opponent gets a chance to like play things in the post combat, so like it's really still kind of a basic speed thing. So go ahead and play this out. We get to flash in my Hyperborean Huntmaster. So this is, you can see, this is a quick troop, so I can play this on my opponent's turn, generally after they declare attackers, but before I declare blockers. And it prevents all damage that would be dealt by other cards this turn, so it's a fog, but it gets to deal damage. Okay. Yep. Yeah, agreed, Rogue. Klutz cleverly not attacking there. And Guidance is my only option, because this only grabs non-resource cards. Guidance here, see what we get. Guidance, Fate Weaves a resource and non-resource, and then draws a card, so looking for some action at this point. Guess I'll Heart's Whisper. Again, have 2 resources here, so I don't really need any more of those. Double Unhenge, that's pretty good. Got 2 Verdicts, 2 Unhenges, and a Runebind, so just gotta kind of keep their board in check a little bit. Hopefully we can find a Dark Heart here to do that. Light the Vote is making 2 candles at this point, that's fine. I think I want to see if these verdicts for like Consult the Talons or Psychic Ascensions. A change course with Mobilize since he found that with the Cosmic Calling. Cantrips versus cantrips versus cantrips. Mind Call. Picks 2 cards in his hand and gives those cards -1 cost permanently. Go ahead and try and verdict this one. 2 sprites, we get met by a Runebind here. Yeah, so tried to interrupt his thing. He Runebinds my thing, and Runebinding interrupts is kind of like permanently gets rid of them, because when I draw a resource, there isn't going to be anything on the chain for this to counter. So. Really kind of need. He's just drawn so many cards. Drawn so many cards. Yep, let's do this. 2. Alright, well there's a Dark Heart. I wonder if that's going to be too little too late. So Dark Heart's a 4/6 that says the beginning of each player's turn, they have to sacrifice a non-socketed card they control, so it's a big body that can kind of block and keep my opponent's candles in check, but it can also make them lose one every single turn. Alright, if this resolves, we're gonna just pack it in. Yep. So Psychic Ascension is kind of a go over the top card. It basically says whenever my opponent would play an action for the rest of the game, they get a free random troop with it. So it just lets them snowball all those actions that he's playing turn into a ton of extra velocity for him. Let's try and find one more here to close out tonight. I think we're going for a little over 6 hours, so I think that's going to be about my limit. Hopefully end on a high note with this control deck. Thank you, everyone that's hanging out through the end of the evening. I do appreciate it. Closing out with little Hex Shards of Fate tonight. Yep, yeah, definitely. Like, my deck's designed to, like, interact with troops, and, like, Kletz's deck was just attacking on a basically troopless axis. Like, I'm sure there were a couple of Spellstorm Titans in there somewhere, but they were not, I want to be greedy and keep this. I've only got one resource, but I get to Guidance here, and Guidance guarantees I draw a resource, and if my Guidance draws an Ice, then the Ice can draw me another resource, and if I find a third resource, I get to Heartswing. So, hopefully, we'll be able to snowball all of these together here. Yeah, sweet. Sapphire Ice. Then I'll play this next turn, which will weave another resource to the top of my deck, etc., etc., etc. So we've gone from keeping one shard Guidance to hitting my first 3 resources, potentially more. Leading on. So opponent, another new champion type. Someone's asking about how diverse the meta is. I think we've played against a different deck almost every match tonight. We've played like 5 or 6 matches. Takahiro here, 3 charges, lets them sacrifice a troop to draw a card and gain 3 health, and they start at 18 health here. Sweet. Alright, yep, we're going to hit our first 4 resource drops guaranteed here since I drew another one. I'm going to put a 4th one on top of my deck here. One of the most relevant non-budget cards to the Candle deck to get first. Definitely the Scion of Lyvanth. Definitely one of the most powerful cards to kind of take over the game when it goes unanswered. Ten out of 10, those would be the first thing you want to pick up in terms of an upgrade. Giant Centipede, sacrifice another troop. This gets 2/2 till end of turn. What did I have to eat? Do a lot of like casserole dishes here in my house. I'm actually a vegetarian. My wife made ham for her and the kids, but do potato casserole and a couple of vegetable casseroles and stuff like that. A lot of cheese. Cheese is great. Nice quiet holiday here. Get my video formatted here on YouTube while waiting for my opponent to come back here, hopefully. Back opponent. Hex has a 5-minute disconnect timer, so In fact, speaking of Thanksgiving, while we wait for my opponent to disconnect, come back, I'm gonna go get a piece of pie. Because there's half a pie in my fridge still, so hopefully when I come back, we're going to continue playing a game of Hex. Or we're going to queue up another match because I disconnected, but either way, I'll be right back. See if we get a slow shard or a non-slow shard on top of my deck here. I think I want to just hold up this Unhenge. They're likely going to play a troop on their turn 3. We can interrupt it. Cassia makes an elemental, which makes Unhenge cheaper. It also just like gives us a random blocker to gain health with against aggressive decks. I played a little bit of Eternal. It's not bad. One thing worth noting, though, is that Eternal's not a trading card game. It's a collectible card game, which was a bit of a turnoff for me because any money you put into it, you just never get back out. Interrupt your thing. I've got a couple old streams of Eternal on my channel here. Fine. I just got a little bit bored playing the one deck I hadn't constructed, and I didn't want to put more than $40 into a game that I could never get my money back out of. Yeah, the best of one ladder is really bad too. It makes control decks much worse than they otherwise would be. Yeah, the gameplay itself was fine. It just wasn't like, this is so good I'm willing to spend $200 to have competitive decks fine. It's like basically what it came down to for me. Frost from Arcanovex. Yeah, I like the votives. Alright. I think I'm going to hold up the Cosmic Calling this turn. I'm also going to go ahead and hit my champion power here to make a 1/1. Yeah, I heard... That's one complaint I've heard from them. Hex has pretty regular set releases, and Eternal, they're on their second set now. And that game's been out for like a year or two by now, right? That's scary. One of a resource that's good for us. This is a 3/3. This is whenever you gain a blood threshold or play a blood resource, you give an opposing troop -1/-1 permanently. And when they have 5 or more blood thresholds, they get to steal our troops when they kill them. You can find a piece of removal for her before they find resources. Alright, Heart's Whisper. Mobilize. Like, when Winter's Grasp here. Yeah, perfect. So Winter's Grasp her. Take her off the table. Voids a troop with power 3 or less. Excuse me, which Bride has. That. Resource on top of my deck, so I got resource next turn. I can hold up this copy of Unhenge since I have elementals in play. Yeah, but it was in beta before that, right? Like, people have been playing with, like, the set 1 cards for, like, long before that. Probably, like, the January before that. Huh. So when this dies, it gives another troop the ability to summon a Carnal Demon. Care about that. How frequently does Hex have nerf / bang? So Hex doesn't edit the text of any cards after they're released. So Hex does ban cards on occasion. They do a monthly ban list update for Hex. Their standard format, lifetime, over 4 years, has had a total of 2 cards banned. Thought I heard myself echoing. Has only ever had 2 cards banned, so it's not that many, really. There is a mono ruby. It's probably the mono ruby deck in Hex right now is probably more comparable to a Sly deck as opposed to a burn deck. It's a like small troop based deck essentially. How I would describe it. Tiny ruby creatures that charge aggressively towards your opponent's face. Veil of Insight on one of these. It says every time it readies, it gets diligence, or every time it readies, I draw a card. I have here with this Unhenge is going to trade up on resources. Yep. Go ahead and Unhenge here to be a 4/4 flyer that would get the abilities of this Underworld Crusader instead of just trade this single resource for it. So super powerful. What is the cost in dollars of said mono ruby deck? How long did it take Hex to release its second set? No idea. I started playing with set 3 about 2 years ago, and they've released a set almost every 5 months, 4.5 to 5 months like clockwork since I started playing. No idea how often they did or did not before that. So Silvertown Adjudicator, really powerful control card here. It's a 3/2 with flight that says when this comes into play, if my opponent has more health than us, we gain 5 health. And if they have more cards in hand than us, we draw 2 cards. So you can see my opponent had 3 cards and I had 2. I got to draw a couple of cards with this. It's also a 3/2 flyer, so I get to trade with my opponent's 3/2 flyer here, which is great for us. Fine. Use Runebind to take that out of the way. I have the Psychic Ascension card that I conceded to when my opponent played it. So this card's super powerful here. It's going to allow us to kind of go over the top of my opponent here. It changes my champion. So now my charge power, instead of making candles, it generates me a random action for 1 charge. And whenever I play any action, I generate a troop with cost equal to that action. And my opponent knows that they're not going to be able to grind through that, and they just pack it in here. Hex didn't actually move out of beta, though, until like 2016. Hex kept the beta tag on for a really long time. Right. God, the reserves on this deck are really bad right now. I should bring this extra into the unknown. I'm a Huntmaster, I guess. Sometimes you can win through a Psychic Ascension, but usually it involves a board state where, like, you've been pressuring your opponent's at a low health total. But they had regular release dates as soon as they got out of beta. Like, they left the beta tag on until they started having regular release dates. Like, when the beta tag came off, they started having regular set release. Like, they've had regular set releases for as long as I've been playing, and I started playing shortly before the beta tag came off. This hand, unfortunately, is not a keep. It's one resource guidance again, but guidance takes diamond. This is a sapphire. Okay, not exciting, but fine. Played its first few resources here. Yeah, I have a couple of budget decks. Actually, I'm going to add another budget hex deck tonight after I sign off. The sockets deck that we were playing with tonight can very easily be made pretty cheap with a few budget concessions. I wonder if it's better to use this when I have diamond or not. So this creates a random action with one cost, but it makes it based on the thresholds I have. So if I make this while I have diamond thresholds, oh, my opponent has a second color in their deck. That makes sense. That makes sense. They didn't have their second color last. Grab another resource. Silver Talon Adjudicator. Let's go. I'm not attacking my 1/1 into your 2/2. Might get run out of this game. Crusader here. 4/4 speed that says when it dies, they lose 2 cards. They lose 2 life and draw 2 cards. Sweet. Yeah. Hux is definitely my favorite TCG of all time. Yeah, but Miss Spade, they didn't remove the beta tag until February of 2016. So they removed the beta tag in February and then started having regular set releases immediately after that. Which is what I said. I said as soon as they removed the beta tag, they started having regular set releases, which is true. Plays out as a 1/4, generate a 3 cost action, protect controller's hand. It's not terrible. Out past the turn. Illuminate 1 here. Second Bright. That's kind of brutal. So they have a blood threshold here. Ugh. So both of these are going to give my troops -1/-1. I'm going to kill my Candlekin here and make this a 0/3. I'm going to go ahead and Dust Cloud this. I kind of want to just get cards out of my hand so the Silver Talon here can maybe draw cards at some point. This bonus from Dust Cloud is temporary, so I'm going to get to chump block with this turn at least. Basically, I just don't get to attack, right? Because I get to chump block and then they can attack, but just anything. Kill. They have a cheap shot or something to finish off the Arcanovex. Heart Whisper. So I'm gonna lead on this, see what we get. Dark Heart and a Winter's Grasp. That's good. Put a resource on top of my deck here. If they hit a blood threshold next turn, we're going to be in a lot of trouble because it means their brides are going to be active and they're going to start taking every troop of mine that they kill. They'll also be turning this into a 0/1. That's going to be a tough sell. Yep. I'm like, now if they have the answer to this Dark Heart, they're going to get the Dark Heart back into play for their control. Blocks going down 7 here. I need to like hit a non-slow shard and and have them not have any removal here. I need this Dark Heart to come in and rid of this and like hope they don't have a way to kill this Dark Heart. I'm gonna sacrifice one of their 1/1s here. If they brick on removal for a turn, they have... Where did they get a Runebind from? Do they draw one of my cards? Oh, they Withering Gaze my Runebind. So, this is funny. So, Withering Gaze, in addition to being a discard spell, instead of putting the card they take into my discard pile, they take that card and put it into their deck. So, my opponent put that card into their deck. And then they drew it and got to use it on my card. Good to know here that opponent does not have any removal in their hand right now, because if they had removal, they would have used it to kill this and kill us. Kind of. The card's going to come back to me after the game. I don't lose the card permanently. Alright, so I hit a shard here. I get to play this, put a non-resource on top of my deck. And then get to play the Silver Talon Adjudicator, and my opponent has more cards in hand and more health than me, so I'm going to gain 5 and draw 2 cards. I think we're still going to be up a creek without a paddle here, though. I really need to draw a way to get this Yazucan or this Bride of the Damned off the table. To the next one. Be on the play for this one. Let's go. Opponent's deck's got a lot of grind in it. This is going to be our last game of the evening. Thank you, everyone that hung out through the end here. I remember I will be live again. Monday is one of my days off, and then I'll be live again on Tuesday morning. We'll play some Magic, followed by some Hex usually. Seems fine. Got Winter Grasp to deal with the Bride of the Damned, which is nice. I can't play Guidance on 1, so Well of Purpose makes Sapphire or Diamond, but it requires I already have a Sapphire or Diamond, so if I play this as my very first resource for the game, it actually doesn't make any threshold colors for us. Hey, Thugosaura Hex, with the brand new Twitch Prime subscription. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Subscriptions are the best way you could support my content here. Remember, if you're a Hex player out there who's going to buy some Hex cards anyway, you can also support my content by supporting my sponsors. Hex Prime would love to buy and sell Hex CCG cards with you. Use code Jeff5 at checkout with them. You'll save 5% on your orders there. And Inked Gaming as well. They would love to help you customize your gaming experience using promo code Jeff12. You can save 12% on their custom playmats, mousepads, and sleeves on their website. Awesome. And remember, if you can't catch any of my streams live, definitely make sure to check them out on the YouTube channel. I break up all my streams after the fact on there, so if you're looking for just Hex or just Magic or just Hex Standard or just Hex Immortal, etc., you can find that all on there broken up for just the videos you care about. Runebind. I'm going to guarantee my 5th resource on top of my deck here, I think. It's like, want to hit my resources every turn for the rest of the game. Yeah, to like 6 or 7 usually. Probably just going to take a hit for 2 here. My opponent plays a Bride of the Damned. I'll probably Winter's Grasp that. If they don't play anything else out, I'll probably watch this Plate Push. Thanks, Dimitri. I appreciate it. Yep. Unfortunately, can't Winter's Grasp this Crusader because it does 4 attack, and Winter's Grasp only voids 3 attacks. So we're going to take a crack for 4, it looks like. Yeah, interacting with people on YouTube is miserable is basically the TLDR on why there's no comments on my YouTube channel. Non-resource on top of my deck here. Ideally, this next turn cycle is going to end with my opponent having more cards in hand than me, so that way the Silver Talon Adjudicator can come down and draw me some cards and gain me some health next turn. Unknown Run, if you ever want to comment or reach out to me when I'm not streaming, though I see you're one of my wonderful subscribers, make sure you hop in the subs Discord server that we have, and it lets the subs pick my brain even when I'm not here live. Demented Whispers. Well, that's... So I discard a card, and they bury the top 3 cards of my deck here. Sweet. They're drawing 2 cards, which is good for our Silver Talon Adjudicator in terms of getting it down, and really unfortunate for us. I think I'm going to Runebind that. I want to just discard 2. Yeah, I'm just going to discard 2. Let's do that. I guess I could have Runebound that because it would have slid it off to the side and it would have reverted it for later. Yeah, maybe that's the case. It's kind of unfortunate that I drew another Silver Talon Adjudicator because my opponent has Hero Falls in their deck. So if they kill this Adjudicator, they're going to get the second one out of my hand as well. Yeah, I should have... Yeah, you're right, Tom. I was discarding the Runebind anyways. I should have Runebound it because I would have milled 3 less cards, and then I could just discard that same shard later on. Winter's Grasp out of my hand here. Right, I think I'm just going to go ahead and double block here. This goes ahead and it draws my opponent 2 cards, which is going to put, again, them up to more cards in hand than me, and it's going to let my Silver Talon Adjudicator draw a couple extra cards here. Even if I don't draw a resource here, which I did not, I get to play this, gain 5, and draw 2. Brick on a resource again here. That's unfortunate. So really kind of punished for discarding that resource away. It's unfortunate. So when this comes into play, I have to sacrifice a troop. So that one goes. Holy crap, this Escalate card is just burying us. I have to discard 3 cards and they get rid of it. It's burying us in the literal sense, literal and metaphorical. Burying all the cards off my deck. It's burying me in card disadvantage. Ugh. Okay. Oh, that was not the card I wanted to click. Well, maybe this is going to work out, because now I have a Runebind to protect my Dark Heart. I kind of intended to play my Dark Heart and play Shard there. Originally what I was going to do. Alright, well that one we're Runebinding, so I'm not losing my entire hand to it. Your authority sucks, Klutz. Well, if our opponent doesn't draw a shard, and they don't have a hero fall, maybe we can squeak back into this with the second Dark Heart, but I think it's going to be too little too late. We're just going to end up getting dumpstered. This control deck does not seem particularly good. To try Allie's configuration that he won the bash with later this week. Not dead on board, so that's nice. Or like we're getting railed on 2 axes, like the Demented Whispers in their deck are like gonna mill us out next time they play it too. Our deck's hero power for 4 charges creates a 1/1 elemental. Out and pass the turn here. Maybe we could squeak out of this. Double Dark Heart is the Demented Whisper is just gonna be like the last wrinkle in all of it. Psychic Ascension left in my deck. Are there still 2 Psychic Ascensions in my deck? God, not anymore. Not anymore. Holy crap, that card is such a beating. We can no longer win the game. Our opponent has just buried us out with this Demented Whisper. My entire deck is gone. There's both my Psychic Extensions. Really unfortunate. Yep. Drew another one, and then we go to draw a card and can't, and lose the game. Yep. Alright, well, that was... Opponent's deck was sweet. At any rate, I'm going to go ahead and sign off for the evening, and I will catch y'all around, and I'll be back on Tuesdays. Thanks for watching, folks. Is anyone else streaming that?